Good evening, everyone. Please rise. We'll be led in prayer by President Pro Tem Alderman DeLucia, please.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of your community. Amen.
Amen. Alderwoman Stacey Gould, please.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone.
Citizen comment general.
Thank you. I declare Citizen Comment General open to be at this time. If you wish to address the council on non-agenda items, please approach the microphone, state your name and address for the public record. And no one actually signed up on that particular sign-up sheet, so I'll recognize people from the auditorium. If you wish to speak at this time, just please raise your hand. Sir, Marvin.
Marvin Cerruto, 100 Star Street, Norwich, Connecticut, the United States of America, a republic, not a democracy. The only comments I have to make tonight is a broad generalization, and it has to do with our school funding. And I know there have been many other meetings I haven't been able to attend. I've been taking care of my health as best I can. We're talking about $400 million. That's a lot of money. I think that's more money than this city has ever handled. And I hope that it's scrutinized, and I hope that it's accounted for, and I hope that it's spent well. One of the things that I would like to see, and I know that somebody said we haven't had a new building built since 1910. Well, I went to a school that was built in 1988 or 1888, and I went on to become a nuclear reactor operator and a senior nuclear chemist for the Florida Power and Light Company, because the focus was on education. The focus was on reading, writing, arithmetic, and then we advanced from there. And I went to this school here where I took advanced algebra. And when I came to this school, I was terrible at reading. And I got together during study hall with an English teacher, and this English teacher really focused on reading skills, and I became quite well at reading. I'm very proud to say that. And I think we've gotten away from that. I think we've gotten to the the emotional part of education, where we think that buildings and emotion is more important. And I just want to say that we really need to get back to focusing on the fundamentals of education, true education, learning our true history, learning our English, learning our language, and learning our mathematics and our science. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And those like to join us at this time on non-agenda items? Yes, sir.
My name is Harrison Faison at 189 Central Avenue. First, I'm going to come up here to say thank you to the city council members, John Salamone, Tracy, Darrell Wilson, and all of those that changed the parking signs, because it made a lot of sense and it did not make it look like things were one-sided. I didn't come up here before and tell you that, but that's what was being said, and that prompted me to come up here to try to do something about that. When you have a service being done, you have to rush because they're afraid that a ticket would be written. But all of that is water under the bridge now, and I came up here to thank the city council members that gave that a lot of thought of how much sense that argument made. Today I'm up here for a different reason. I spoke to Chief Daley for quite a while privately back there, and I wouldn't bring this up. It's an issue that's going on Central Avenue, where it's gotten out of control. That's number one. Number two is when I've sat down and talked to, over the last month, at least 17 or 18 youths, they were telling me that there's nothing here for them and they're bored. And that's not a lie. This is what they're saying, that they have nothing here for them to do. So I don't know if a center's going to be open. Something needs to be done quick, because what happened at the courthouse last week is a result of teenagers going into young adulthood, bored and sidetracked. Courthouse is right there. I mean, what other message do you, something's got to be done. I mean, the YMCA has been closed for how long? I'm not going to be negative and criticize, but something has to be done for these youths to try to get a hold of them mentally, to show them that they're cared about mentally. Like I said, how many haircuts have I done? And this is the same thing I hear over and over and over. And it's not just from certain ethnic groups. It's all the ethnic groups. They're all singing the same song. If you call a bunch of youths here to this city council meeting and you ask their opinion, you would be really, really surprised. I mean, I came up here to address this, that it should be a concern. It's either that or you're going to have to start building a juvenile detention center, one or the other. I'm just telling you for what I see. I mean, I'm dealing with the street. I'm dealing with youths of all different walks of life. And this is what they're saying. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to join us on non-agenda items at this time? Please, Ms. Philbrick.
Joanne Philbrick, Norwich Town. I come before you tonight with a variety of questions, concerns, comments. I'd like to start out by saying that I have lived here for almost 20 years, and I can remember when there was standing room only in city council chambers. People were engaged, people were concerned, people were vested in the community. I ask you to look around this room tonight and tell me how many members of the community you see. There's me, there's Rodney, there's Marvin, and there's John Blackburn. The four horsemen of the apocalypse. Something is wrong here. And I'm going to ask you to bear with me, and I'm going to give you my little take on it. You talk, and when I say you, I don't mean you specifically. I'm not singling any of you out. I'm talking about the city as a whole. You talk about transparency, and you talk about community engagement, but that's not what you want. That's not how you're presenting yourselves. You come into City Hall, with a few exceptions. Roseanne and Betsy and her group, Bonnie. Used to be Jackie, now Jackie's got an attitude. But the shining star in the city of Norwich is Kathy, the night maintenance worker. I have I don't hand out compliments. Kathy deserves recognition for her genuine, heartfelt compassion. I had to go to City Hall a week ago where I was for the Commission on the Person with Disabilities, which is a topic for another day. And there was a gentleman, it was 100 degrees out. There was a gentleman sitting on a chair when you come into City Hall. He was obviously a gentleman who was down on his luck. It was hard to tell if he was dead or alive. Kathy walked up to him. She put her hands lovingly on his shoulder, and she said, "Sir, how can I help you?" And he said, "I'm so hot. I'm so hot. Where is the cooling center? Where is the cooling center?" Which is a topic again for another day. Where were the cooling centers? And she said, "Sit right there." She went, she got him a cup of ice water, she moistened a paper towel, and she brought it back to him, and she knelt down in front of him, and she said, "I will stay with you until you feel better." I want you to keep that in your memory as I tell you the next scenario and observe the juxtaposition. I called the tax office because I noticed that my payments hadn't been credited and I was incurring late charges. So I called the tax office, and this is the answer was, "What do you expect? We're underpaid and overworked." Well, you know what? And you can quote me or you don't have to quote me. Kiss my ass. You work for me. You work for the citizens of this city. A simple answer could have been, "I fully understand, Mrs. Philbrook, we're running a little bit behind in posting our payments. I'll take care of it. I don't want to hear that you're underpaid and overworked. If you're so unhappy, get the hell out of town." Which, by the way, the person does not even live in town. So I implore you. You talked recently about more community engagement. In fact, you appropriated, what, $22,000 for your community engagement? I don't know how that's going because I can't get anyone to answer the phone. It would be beneficial if you had, for lack of a better word, town hall meetings where you talked about it for a while, but I haven't seen anything since. People want to be recognized and acknowledged, not just on the day that they have to pay their taxes. We all understand that you have the power. We get it. We voted you in, or we can vote you out. There's a lot going on in this city right now. I know because you can call me nosy, I like to think that I'm well informed. I read the minutes of all the boards and commissions. I was anxiously looking forward to the public safety minutes because there's a big problem in this city in case you don't know. But they're not up there. I do believe that under the open meeting law, minutes have to be published, draft minutes have to be published within a certain period of time. There are so many boards and commissions in this city right now that are in such flagrant violation of the open meeting law. I don't want to call the Secretary of State, but you know what? Push me, and I will. So you all know the situation that I'm talking about right now. You all know what it is. All you have to do is read the minutes of the rec department, and you'll know what's going on. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. What's the big secret? Do you not understand that when people don't know, the rumor mill starts to explode, and you take a small situation and just be upfront. The recreation director has left her position because of A, B, C, and D. The human services director will now be accepting the responsibilities of D, E, F, and G. Shouldn't be a secret. Shouldn't be a secret, because when you don't engage the public, then the public starts thinking all sorts of nefarious thoughts. All I'm asking, I drive around the city and I chose to come here. I don't even know where the button is, Roseanne, so when I've had enough, just say to me, sit down. But it's not like there's 20 people lined up to talk.
Mrs. Philbrick, you clearly have a lot to say tonight, but could we let others have a shot? And if you want to come back up, I'll call you back up.
Yes, I would. And again, as I said, if people would just, some people are very good at responding to questions and other people are not. So we could avoid a lot of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to join us on non-agenda items at this time, please? Yep, Mr. Bowie.
Rodney Bowie, 62 Roosevelt Avenue. I've been in this town for 58 years. I know some of the things that she's talking about. I live across the street from a certain person. She registers her cars in Maine. She has 4 cars. I've called the treasurer, the tax department. They're still driving those same 4 cars with Maine license plates. They're registered in Maine. I'd like to see something done about it. I pay a lot of taxes in this city. I'm not real crazy about it, but I do it. The children of the city. She was talking about they can't find anything to do. I live on Roosevelt Avenue. I live near the I live near the Greenville Dam. I don't see any children fishing, swimming, or doing anything on the river all summer long. Most people can't even find the Greenville Dam. They don't know where Uncle Sleep is. I knew where Uncle Sleep was the first year I lived here. I found it very interesting. I've probably been back there for 10 or 15 times. Most people in this city do not know where Uncle Sleep is. They don't even give a damn. Now, most of the kids, and I include my grandkids, they play on computers all day. They don't know a thing about the city. They don't care. To try and invigorate those children is an impossible task. I can't do that. Even if I want to lug them around. They don't give a whoop. So, you're fighting a computer. There's no way to get out of it. There's simply no way to get out of it. And I don't know where it's going to end. But I'm 81, and I'm not going to see some of these things. You people may. Some of you won't. But the city is in really fairly decent shape. I'm not crazy about some of the monies you spend, but then again, I'm not as, how shall I say, enlightened as you people are. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Hayes.
Good evening, Sheila Hayes, 382 Laurel Hill Avenue. I'd like to, I guess, pick up and talk about the youth, but not from the negative side. The youth, we have very talented, very outgoing and thriving youth in the city. And we've talked about this for this past year, that what was going to happen this summer if we did not have structured programs, if we did not have places, an engaging community that was going to work with these youth. And some of it, unfortunately, we've experienced, the police have experienced. You heard the gentleman talk about Greenville. It's Taftville, it's downtown, it's all over the city. We, as a community, and I'm saying that in its entirety, did not sit down and address when money, and I thank all of you, you allocated money to be utilized by community members into the schools to provide programming, but unfortunately, by the time the RFP went out, it was almost in May, and very little engagement, very little guidance or guidelines were available to talk about what kind of programming we could provide for youth or how we could collaborate. So I'm going to say, we lost, and unfortunately, we lost this summer, and we've only seen some of the issues that have arisen and are part of this community as a result of not having structured, organized community programming to really do outreach to youth. There have been a couple. I can tell you Blooming into Greatness is one of the youth groups. Bully Busters have run summer programs. NAACP, we were fortunate to team up with the school and send 4 students down to an aviation education career program. It just isn't enough. We need better guidelines. We need more community collaboration to really address what's going on with the youth and our young adults and provide them with that structure. Kids don't want to sit in front of computers, but if that's the only thing you give them, that's what they're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to address the council at this time on non-agenda items. Anyone else like to address the council on non-agenda items? Again, third, ask anyone else like to address the council on non-agenda items at this time? Then at this time, I'm going to declare it closed, and thank you all.
Petition and communication, memo from the comptroller on proposed 21-22 budget transfers and summary of general fund CCD and TCD budget to actual results.
A motion, please, to receive. Alderman Singh, second. Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderwoman Berto? Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Motion passes 6-0.
City Manager's report?
Thank you. This is the city manager's report for August 15th, 2022. And I have included some of the items. I was unable to attend the last meeting due to an issue I had with my car. But so I've incorporated some of that into the report this evening. Meetings attended were Southeastern Council of Governments, Southeastern Area Transit, NPU City Coordination Meeting, NCDC Board of Directors, and meetings with the fire chiefs. I also toured Navarra, formerly known as Solar Seal Architectural, with Congressman Courtley on August 4th. The company, which makes architectural glass for commercial buildings, is moving its operations from Massachusetts to 40 Wisconsin Avenue in the business park. A special city council meeting was called on July 25th to authorize and support applications for the Community Investment Fund 2030. The city's application for a new public safety complex and Norwich Community Development Corporation applications for historic downtown Norwich Broadway revitalization project, and the Reading Use Brownfield remediation and historic preservations were unanimously approved by the council. Applications were submitted to the State Department of Economic and Community Development, DECD, for the State Bond Commission and governor's approvals, which should be sometime in November. This is a 5-year program designed to support historically disadvantaged communities across the state with up to $175 million available each fiscal year. Tax payments at People's Bank have increased by 18%. There were 1,661 payments totaling over $2 million processed in person at People's branches this year versus 1,357 payments of $1.8 million last year, allowing the city to invest the funds within 24 hours. The Senior Center has distributed almost 450 farmers market coupons totaling nearly $9,000 for qualifying seniors in Norwich. ARPA funds for senior transportation provided over 450 additional rides to medical appointments for senior residents since February. Youth and Family Services' new drug-free community coordinator started on July 18th and is scheduled to meet with several schools to bring prevention programming to Norwich students. The Summer Jam and Learn program ended on August 11th with a wrap-up party and art show at St. Mark's Church on Broadway. Norwich Police hosted the 39th Annual National Night Out at Brown Park on August 2nd. National Night Out enhances the relationship between law enforcement and neighbors in communities under positive circumstances. Several hundred families enjoyed the activities, free food and demonstrations, along with local civic groups and city fire and emergency vehicles on site. The event had a live broadcast with local radio station Jammin' 107.7. Thank you to the sponsors and participants. A promotion ceremony was held on August 4th for Lieutenant Nicholas Rankin, Sergeant Stephanie Rickard, and Sergeant Christopher Horlick, Sergeant Richard Canada. Congratulations to them and their families. Congratulations to the Laurel Hill Volunteer Fire Department on their 75th anniversary celebration, and to Yantic Fire Company, number 1, for winning the 2022 Connecticut Treasures Award. Attached is the Fire Chief's report for the August Public Safety meeting. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, John. Are there questions of the city manager? Alderman Singh.
Thank you. So I'll start with a positive comment that I'm very happy that our ARPA money that was assigned for senior transportation has been well utilized. And the second thing, I did attended the National Night Out hosted by Norwich PD. And you're right, a lot of people enjoyed that event, and it was very educational and informative because there were a lot of booths as well, giving knowledge about grants on lead abatement, and a lot of civic leaders were there as well. So I think that was a very positive thing that happened. A question that I have is, of course, tax payments, right? When we directly deposit to people's bank, it helps city to fund, invest in 24 hours. But is there any incentive for people to deposit money through people's bank instead of coming to the city hall?
Well, the incentive to go to People's Bank is sometimes there's less of a line. You can get it processed easier and quicker. Sometimes there's parking issues in City Hall. You may live near the bank branch. So the convenience is the incentive to have people go there.
Now, does People Banks also offer drive-through services
I don't know if
for this purpose?
we do have drive-through.
Okay.
The one at ShopRite Plaza is a drive-through.
Right.
And night deposit.
Right. Where they have drive-through, it's available for taxes. So that makes it more. We don't have
Exactly.
drive-through at the City Hall.
City Hall, yeah.
At
Okay.
least, not that I know of.
Okay.
And hopefully we don't
All right. Thank you.
at this point.
Thank you. Other questions this time? Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
New business resolutions. Relative to providing for referendum.
Citizen comment.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Citizen comment and resolutions. Went right past it. Sorry.
Sorry, thank you. We declare citizen comment on resolutions open. The first person signed up is Mr. Tucker Braddock.
Thank you, Norwich City Council. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be in this auditorium, the Jackie Owen Auditorium. I'm sorry there are not more people here. And I'm sorry the elevators are down at City Hall. That makes this, but at least we have this availability to an alternative. And maybe we could invite the Coast Guard Academy up here for a free concert sometime and really fill up this auditorium. I'd like to speak to resolution number 4. It's something new, put in the toolbox. I think it goes very well with the other tools that we have there. And what it will do, it will, I think, encourage people to put money into some of these properties that are on the river edge, in the floodway. The floodway is a real problem for us. And so much as we can't really do that much with it, there has been, this planning department worked hard. They found somewhat of a glitch, whereas they can open it up so that people can put more money into some of these mills and some of these properties along the riverfront. In the past, we have, as you all know, if you buy a property on the Thames River for $100,000, you then can put in $50,000 worth of improvements. Well, in some cases, that may be half of a roof. But this new thing that we have found, or the planning department has found, and worked hard to develop it with FEMA, you can put any amount of money into it. And it will help, I think, with the opportunity zone. I think it works very, very well with the opportunity zone that Mayor Nystrom and the council has set up. So I would fully support this resolution 4 and hope that you all do as well. It's, again, another tool, and there's only, from what I understand, at the very inception of this, is no one else in America has done this before. So there may be some difficulty in it. But the essence of it is that people who want to move into our area and look at some of these mills on these waterfront properties, it allows them to do some of the things that they really want to do without being hamstrung by this 50% evaluation, 50% of the evaluation of the property. And I do hope that you will support it. I chair the Harbor Commission, and on a day-to-day basis, I see properties that could be improved. But again, there's so much limitation on what, in the amounts that they can put into it. So I hope you vote in favor of this. And I thank Deanna Rhodes and her hard work at researching it and putting it all together, and now it's being brought forward, and I'm hoping that it works. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the council on the 4 resolutions on our agenda this evening? Please.
Good evening. Deanna Rhodes, Director of Planning and Neighborhood Services for the City of Norwich. So I'm just going to go over really quickly resolution number 4 and explain it a little bit to you. So thank you, Tucker, for your comments too. So we recognize that the City of Norwich has issues with floodplain and special flood hazard areas, and we have a lot of them in the city because we have 3 rivers. And then we're not talking about areas that just flood occasionally from heavy rainstorms. These are areas that flood, have a 1% chance to flood every year, or have or considered in the floodway, which is considered the channel of the river when it floods. So started probably when I started in 2016, and really I dove into it in 2017. I started looking at how we can address these issues in the city. And one of the great benefits in the federal government gives us is they have exemptions for historic structures. And they actually put out a bulletin back in 2008 specifically about that, called National Flood Insurance Program Floodplain Management Bulletin, Historic Structures. But I've also took a look at the FEMA regulations themselves regarding anything to do with development in the floodway or special flood hazard areas, because we kept coming up against it, especially in the Terminal Way area where we have existing buildings that have been there for over 100 years and that are in the floodway. So started looking at it and collaborated with a really good friend of mine that you all know, Jason Benson, who was also a planner and was having these issues in his own community at the time. That was Stonington. And I realized over doing research that we knew that buildings that were on the National Register or State Register would be exempt from which is called the substantial improvement. And what that is when a building is improved more than 50% of its value. So if a building is on the register, if you look at it this way, those are important buildings from a national or state standpoint. So they want to see those be preserved and improved. But if it's not on the register, no one recognizes it with that importance. So FEMA has recognized many years ago that these are important buildings to save, and that means that money should go into them, even if they're in those special flood hazard areas. It doesn't preclude recommendations to do flood improvements at all. It actually encourages flood improvements. But it says that cap of that value, of that 50% of the value of the building. And what we do locally is we look at the assessor's cards. What is that building valued at? And that's how we come up with that maximum amount that can be spent. Or we use the most recent appraisal if somebody has that. But what happens is the buildings that we have that are in such bad shape that are not on the register, and I'm going to give an example. These are the 11 that we are working with that are here tonight, are in Thamesville along the Shipping Street area. There's the downtown, the Chestnut Street Mill. On Clinton Avenue, there's a mill out there on Clinton Avenue, and there's the buildings on West Main Street. I hope you don't mind me going a couple minutes longer on to explain. On West Main Street, where across from the marina where Richie Thayer's owns some properties. These are all really important buildings, and they're in special flood hazard areas, but they're not on national or state registers. Doesn't mean that they couldn't be on national state registers, so what we decided to do was we worked with Regan Miner, and we hired her as our consultant, and I'll have her come up in a couple minutes, and to look at these properties. And these 11 properties were ones that either the owner said they were really interested in doing something, or NCDC had said, hey, we're stuck here. We can't get developers that want to put money into these buildings, which is pretty much the issue with the Shipping Street area. We know if those buildings come down, it's going to be practically impossible to get a new building in the floodway because you have to study the river, you have to prove that they won't have a 0.0 increase of the flood, which is pretty impossible when you're putting a new building up there. It's not 100% impossible, but it's very difficult to comply with that. So we have existing buildings that we should take advantage of. Yeah, they're not in great shape and they're not in great locations, but if we can allow for investment in them and encourage them to make them more flood compliant than they've ever been, it's a win-win for the city. And it's a win-win for people looking for locations that are along the river, especially in the Shipping Street area, to do uses that maybe could take advantage of the waterfront, take advantage of the railroad that goes by there. So anyways, the list came about and we looked at different properties, and there was actually 12 properties we looked at. And one of them was determined through the research that was not eligible, and that property is 1735 Falls Avenue. It had been changed too many times over the years and was not really eligible to be on the National Estate Register. So our local inventory that we've created here, they are ready to go. These are able to be possibly put on the National Register based on the research that Regan has done. We vetted them with the SHPO office, and Regan can speak about that, so that they looked at them and asked us specifically to use their form. Jason had created a form on his own, and they said, please use our form, and then they will keep them, and then when they, either the state or ourselves wants to put those on the register, they're ready to go. This is a wonderful tool. It's a carrot for development. There's nothing that's detrimental to any of these property owners. They're not on the state register or national register at this time, but if they want to take advantage of historic tax credits, especially for, say, the Chestnut Street Mill, the work has been done. It's ready to go, and they can file these on to get the national register designation and take advantage of historic tax credits to renovate that. So I just wanted you to know that this was a lot of work and effort that went into this, a lot of thought. It did take a long time, and we feel the documents are in terrific shape for being able to provide to any of these property owners. And again, some of them are aware. Not everyone has collaborated, but that's okay because, again, it's a carrot, and if they want to sell their properties, new people coming in will say, hey, they're able to do something that wasn't being done before. Some of these properties are located within opportunity zones. They're located with enterprise zones. They can take advantage of those economic opportunities. Kevin Brown is not here tonight. However, he's aware of this, and I can't speak on behalf of NCDC, but I can speak about Kevin saying that he was in support of this. Thank you. I'm going to pass it on to Regan so she can talk a little bit about the process that she went through to look at these 12 properties, but 11 that were eligible.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Regan Miner, 67 East Town Street, if you require that. I was fortunate to be approached by Deanna, and at the time, Jason had started this work, as Deanna mentioned before, and the city was kind of stuck with how to move forward. And there was substantial research that needed to be done on all of these properties, and they asked if I would be able to step in and do some of this research, and I was more than happy to. Some of the research included going to Otis Library and utilizing the city directories and the Stedman maps. They were a great resource. In addition, I used some resources on Ancestry.com and really used the land records here in the city of Norwich, which was another great resource in this research. I'm happy to answer any specific questions you may have. As Deanna mentioned, we worked closely with the State Historic Preservation Office on this project. In addition, I reached out to Preservation Connecticut, and they helped provide me some additional resources for the project as well. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions if you may have them.
Thank you. This is really not the time for that dialogue, though. If there are other members of the public who want to speak at this time, certainly when the resolution's on the floor, if there are questions, we'd ask you to please stay and we'll call you back.
Absolutely. I just want to add one more thing. FEMA was involved right from the beginning. As soon as we recognized that this was an option to have this local historic inventory, I think Tucker mentioned it, but I would like to state it again. Jason started looking to see if this had done anywhere else. I couldn't find anything. Jason dug deeper, and we think we may be the first in the United States to take advantage of this FEMA exemption for a local historic inventory. I know I spoke with Diane Ivkovic from the state, and she has been sent this resolution to look at it. She's the head of the floodplain management program, and she says, I've never seen this before. And so, and of course, she had questions, and I reiterated why we were able to do this, and that FEMA was involved in multiple discussions back in September 2018 as well as September 2020, and in that they told us exactly how to proceed, that they made very clear that an inventory wasn't one or two properties, and that we needed to go deeper, and we were totally willing to do that. And they said, and make sure that they're really quality buildings, and that's why we hired Regan about these structures, to make sure that they would be ones that we weren't trying to pull any wool over anyone's eyes. These are important buildings for many reasons to our city, and so that's why they're on this local historic inventory. Thank you.
Thank you both. Again, anyone else like to address us on agenda items this evening? Yes, please, Ms. Hayes.
Good evening, Sheila Hayes, 382 Laurel Hill Avenue. I didn't have an opportunity at the August 1st meeting, and I know it's up for vote tonight to put the school building renovations and build as new out for a referendum. But I wanted to thank all of you for your support. This is, to me, very important for the city to move forward. And to attract businesses and people to want to come live in the city, that we provide new and more modern school buildings. And on the other item, and I don't want to make it sound like I am opposed to item number 4, I just want to say that I have concerns about we continue to designate buildings in this city as historic buildings. We continue to put money, hoping that somebody's going to take advantage of whether it's tax credits or money that the city is providing. And I know that there's been some renewed interest with some of the ARPA funds and some of the other opportunities that are in the city. But my concern is what stipulations does the city put in place about the preservation of the historicness of the buildings? So we get the buildings designated as historic properties, and I'll give you an example. James Lindsay Smith House. When that house was was taken over by the city, we were told that that house would be preserved as a historic house. If you go look at that house right now, there is nothing historically preserved about that house. And so my confusion is that we ask for historic designation, and we say these buildings are important to preserve and their historicness, and then we don't put in mechanisms or requirements that they need to be preserved in some historic character to them. So that is my concern with resolution number 4. I understand the importance of it. I understand the flood zone and if you take the buildings down, trying to put new buildings up, but I don't see where there are requirements for true preservation when it comes to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council on the agenda items this evening for resolutions? Anyone else like to address the council at this time? Anyone like to address the council at this time on these 4 resolutions this evening? Seeing no one else, I declare this closed. Thank you.
New business resolutions. Number 1, relative providing for referendum vote to be held in connection with the municipal election November 8, 2022, regarding an ordinance appropriating $385 million for the City of Norwich School Construction Program, including property acquisition, design, engineering, environmental assessment, and remediation, construction, installation, repair, renovation, and addition of various school facilities, and authorizing the issue of $385 million bonds of the city to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
Thank you. At this time, I entertain a motion to put this to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second. Alderwoman Berto. Is there discussion? Alderwoman Berto.
If possible, if I can just take a leave from council to speak on behalf of Alderman Wilson, who is not here. He sent me some remarks he would like to say.
I don't think we've ever done that.
Yes.
Fine. Go ahead. It's something new, but go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, fellow council members and city residents. Sorry I could not be with you tonight as I am away with my family. Tonight's resolution to move the school building project to a referendum vote is a major step forward. We made a vow to give our families, kids, and staff the proper resources to succeed educationally. Back in January, when we, as a council, voted to have a plan back to us from the committee by June, it was a bold and aggressive measure. Thank each member of the committee and architectural team for meeting the goal. Here we are. This is a crossroad to move our schools forward resourcefully and fiscally. I know this is a major leap, but it is necessary. This project may seem large, but it gives our schools as much needed addressing. It will bring kids back to the school district, allow our schools to be mini community centers in their neighborhoods, and upgrade our fields, our recreation fields for our teams and organizations. And most importantly, this will be an upgrade that can and will serve everyone in the community. As I stated last meeting, the responsibility for getting the top reimbursement rate we can get each falls on each and every one of us on this council working with the state delegation in Hartford and ensuring all funding resources and opportunity are sought to minimize the impact on our taxpayer here in Norwich. We still have work to do. I'm excited for this project on its potential to help keep brightening the light shining on the Rose City. Alderman Wilson.
Thank you. Is there further comment on the resolution at this time? Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 2, relative to the transfer of funds among various departments to close out fiscal year 21-22.
A motion, please, bring this to the floor. Alderman Singh, second by Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderwoman Berto,
Yes.
Alderman Singh,
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould,
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf,
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia,
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom.
Yes. The resolution is adopted. 6-0 is the vote.
Number 3, relative to replacement of People's United Financial with M&T Bank Corporation on the approved list of banks and trust companies into which the city treasurer may deposit funds.
Motion, please, bring it to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Berto,
Yes.
Alderman Singh,
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould,
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf,
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia,
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom.
Yes. The resolution adopted. 6-0 vote.
Number 4, relative to resolution adopting a local historic inventory for purposes of taking advantage of Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, substantial improvement exemptions.
A motion, please, bring it forward. Alderwoman Gould, Alderman Singh, second. Is there discussion? Alderwoman Gould.
Thank you. I'll be supporting resolution number 4, and I want to applaud the work that Director of Planning and Neighborhood Services Deanna Rhodes did, along with Regan Minor, to find ways for these property owners to make these buildings eligible for this program. If the property owners get behind this and improve their properties, making them more viable and vital, this will certainly lead to economic development and adaptive reuse of these historic assets. And I hope, addressing Ms. Hayes' concern, I hope that they will try to keep the character of the historic building intact. And I'm sure that these two fine ladies who work for the city of Norwich will keep those property owners on that task. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Alderman Singh.
Yes, I will also like to applaud the efforts. I personally feel as well that our water fronts are very underutilized, so that'll be a good opportunity. I do have a question. Will that also help those owners to get some credit in their insurances as well? Because I think a few years back we did something with FEMA that helped people to lower their insurance cost as well.
So not specifically, no, because the CRS program takes advantage of when you are required to have a mortgage because you're in the special flood hazard area, or that you just want to purchase flood insurance for your property. And you don't either, you're not in a flood area and you just want to purchase it, or you are, but you don't have a mortgage, you don't have a lender. So it may be beneficial to someone if they purchase it with a mortgage and then they want to insure it. They'll possibly take advantage of getting that reduction in that special, for that CRS benefit of the reduction in the cost of the insurance. But it kind of depends on how someone's going to purchase it or if they decide to buy insurance on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Berto,
Yes.
Alderman Singh,
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould,
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf,
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia,
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom.
Yes. The resolution is adopted. 6-0 is the vote.
New business ordinance, an ordinance regarding additional fiscal year 2021-22 appropriations for city consolidated district.
At this time, I'd ask for a motion to schedule for public hearing the first meeting in
September 6th.
September 6th. I believe it's a Tuesday. This is an appropriations. I don't see the issue of CCP at all, but we would, pardon me? Yeah, and also waive the full text and reading at this time and to take action on the date of September 6th when the public hearing is held as well on second reading and action. Is there such a motion, please? Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Singh. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Berto,
Yes.
Alderman Singh,
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould,
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf,
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia,
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom.
Yes. Motion is passed 6-0. Alderman Gould, please.
I hereby move pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 1-200, subsection 6B, C, and E, that the members of the Norwich City Council go into an executive session to discuss records of the Norwich Police Department and other law enforcement agencies not otherwise available to the public, which records and the information contained therein were and are compiled in connection with the detection or investigation of crime under circumstances when the disclosures of such records or the information contained therein would not be in the public interest, because it would result in the disclosure of information used in completed law enforcement actions and to be used in prospective law enforcement actions, which would be prejudicial to the prospective actions, as well as investigatory techniques not otherwise known to the general public, the council having determined that the public interest in withholding such clearly outweighs the public interest in disclosure. The executive session may also include discussion concerning security strategies and the deployment of security personnel and devices affecting public security. City Manager John Salamone, Chief of Police Patrick Daly, Police Lieutenant Anthony Gomes, and Corporation Counsel Michael E. Driscoll shall be asked to participate during all or portions of this executive session at the request of the city. The council shall continue in executive session with the same participants to discuss strategy with respect to pending claims and pending litigation involving the city of Norwich as a party.
Thank you. Is there a second? Alderman Singh. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Berto, Alderman Singh.
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould,
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf,
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia,
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom.
Yes. Motion to move into executive session passes 6-0. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to return from executive session and let the record show that no votes were taken. Is there such a motion? Alderman Gould, second Alderwoman Berto. Roll call to return. Alderwoman Berto.
Here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, okay. Let me just check everybody off. Motion to made was Gould and Berto. Okay. At this time, then, a motion to adjourn. Alderwoman Gould,
Second.
second by Singh. Roll call. Berto.
Yes.
Singh.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Norendorf.
Yes.
DeLucia. Nystrom, yes. Motion passes 6-0. We are adjourned. Thank you all.